Que no tienes seguro para mi coche eléctrico. Adiós, yo me voy a la mutua.
Vente a la mutua y además de las mejores coberturas, te bajamos el precio de tus seguros, sea cual sea. Llama al 91 555 5555. 91 555 5555.
Hola, vente a la mutua.
Life moves forward to the beat of decisions. At Aeon, we see a world increasingly impacted by the choices we make. That's why we shape decisions that protect and grow communities so we can all achieve our full potential. Our job is to provide clarity and confidence to every Aeon client, making them better informed, better advised, and able to make better decisions for whatever the world needs next. Aeon is in the business of better decisions.
Pito, pito, gorgorito, ¿dónde vas tú tan bonito? Donde quiero, como quiera, siempre vuelo a mi manera. Por América y Europa, ida y vuelta, viento en popa. Tú decides, yo decido, y ahora voy a ver qué pido. Sea en business o en turista, ceno como un artista. Es la era placentera.
detiene, que siempre va hacia adelante.
Que actúa hoy, porque es hoy cuando quiere cambiar las cosas.
Que abre camino y no duda.
Gente que vuela hasta alcanzar su propósito.
Gente como tú.
En la Universidad Alfonso X el Sabio llevamos lo que tienes dentro al siguiente nivel. Porque en UAX te aseguras conocimientos sólidos, aprendes con experiencias reales y te preparas para ser el maker que todas las empresas buscan. Hazlo en UAX.
En apenas 4 minutos va a dar comienzo el trofeo Mutua Madrileña, competición al cronómetro sin desempate, prueba calificativa para el Gran Premio de la Copa del Mundo que se disputa el próximo domingo aquí en IFEMA Madrid Force Week. Recorrido, como les digo, al cronómetro sin desempate. En caso de igualdad a puntos gana el mejor tiempo. Son 51 los competidores, muchos de ellos ya están clasificados para la final, pero otros no. Esos otros van a tener que buscar una plaza en la gran cita del concurso en la prueba que se va a disputar a continuación. Una prueba diseñada por Javier Trenor y por todo su equipo, con un recorrido de 12 obstáculos y 15 esfuerzos. El obstáculo 1 es el fondo de Mutua Madrileña de barras blancas y azules, vertical número 2, el vertical situado justo enfrente de la puerta por la que entran y salen los caballos, es el vertical de la Copa del Mundo de Madrid. A mano derecha nos vamos al vertical número 3 de la Universidad Alfonso X el Sabio, de barras blancas y azules, en calle con el número 4, fondo de Madrid. Vuelta a la izquierda al vertical de Porsche con la tablilla blanca arriba número 5. A continuación el triple de IFEMA Madrid número 6, fondo vertical. A mano derecha, fondo de Ola número 7. A mano izquierda, al centro de la pista, obstáculo 8, fondo rojo y blanco de la Comunidad de Madrid, en calle con el vertical 9 de Estrella Damm. A mano derecha nos vamos al doble número 10 de Longines, vertical fondo, número 11, fondo de Listus, y terminamos a mano derecha, contra carencia, vertical número 12, vertical, grupo EUL.
It is the big one on the opening day of Madrid Horse Week here. It is the trophy of WEL Madrid, and it is one round against the clock. There's a huge prize fund up for grabs of €105,500. That's the prize pot here this evening, and that is why the world's very best are with us. 51 of the world's leading riders joining us, all looking for qualification through to Sunday's Longines FEI Jumping World Cup qualifier here in Madrid. The course has been set for this one-round competition, starting at the WEL Madrid and finishing at the Bruno Ulen vertical. 12 numbered obstacles, 15 jumping efforts. That triple combination 6A, B and C across the diagonal, and then down to launching double a little later in the course. Vertical box at 10A to 10B. 51 coming forward. Only one can take the winner's share of that huge prize pot, and with it, the WEL Madrid trophy.
Hola, que no tienes seguro para mi coche eléctrico. Adiós, yo me voy a la mutua.
Vente a la mutua y además de las mejores coberturas, te bajamos el precio de tus seguros, sea cual sea. Llama al 91 555 5555 91 555 5555.
Hola, vente a la mutua.
Well, I hope you're all having a fabulous Friday. Welcome along to Madrid and the opening night here for Madrid Horse Week of 2024. What a stunning setting this is each and every time we come, right in the heart of the capital here in Spain, and a huge week of sport as we round out November and kick off December on Sunday with the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup of Madrid. The qualifier to get to Sunday starts now. One round, Fulton time, 105,500 euros. So, wow, big money on a big night. And to make sure we enjoy this from start to finish, we've got some of the biggest and best names in the sport. This should be an absolute thrill ride. Of course, Fulton time. You notice the word faults always comes first in that sentence. First of all, you've got to leave the fences up, you've got to go clear, and then you've got to be quick. It's a big old track set tonight, 1 metre 50. Javier Tenor, or Chape as he's known in the team, set this course. One of Spain's very best designers. Time allowed, if it ever becomes relevant, is set at 67 seconds, and Alex Arago for France is going to kick things off with a QH Sol Mio Santa Antonio, the 10-year-old gelding by Cavarus Plus. Interesting. Now the course designer's given them so much space at the start. And then you can see where those little gaps are if they're feeling brave. But when you're this, well, when you're the first to go, I was about to say when you're this early to go, you can't be any earlier. 6 on the curve to the combination, middle part goes. He left himself quite a lot to do on the 6th there by landing quite short now. He's ridden well through that Longines double. It's a solid combination that have had good form this season. They're Johnson, the nation's champion. Rabat, we saw them in Helsinki as part of that leg, the second leg of the Western European League. But tonight they start the qualifier on a score of 4, 62-54. One has gone, 51 still to go. We've already seen one false and time round a little earlier on. That was for ranking money, but an awful lot less. But it was a thrill ride, to say the least. This, I'm sure, is going to be quick. Julio Hararias Curia next to go. Peanuts Van Bolobo. Peanuts might be easier than a 9-year-old by Croydon Van T&L.
We wish him the best of luck with the 9-year-old Peanuts Van Bolobo in Spain's Julio Hararias Curia.
It's been relatively competitive all year with this horse, jumping a lot in France and of course here in Spain as well. We saw them in the big class in Coruña back in July. Last time jumping at this level in a 5-star show was Dinar. That's a different rail, but it's the same result, a score of 4. Already you can see a little bit steadier. It got quite deep in off the turn to the Porsche fence. Comes inside on this turn in to the last. We'll see plenty go that way. 66.56. Just trying to make sure he's high enough to qualify for Sunday. Hilya Arias there and Peanuts Van Boblo. So Alex Arago's time both faster and one less down, but neither of which are clear so far. So one for France, one for Spain. Let's have another chance for France, shall we? Because next to go, Olin Leroy riding Vedon Dijk, the mare by the Great Arco. 15 now. She's by Marco the third out of a Chin mare. Also been in Valencia. Flying along in the 3 stars down there. Had a top 5 in the Grand Prix just before coming here. Been relatively consistent all summer. They were jumping some of the bigger 5-star shows back in the middle of the summer. We saw them in St. Gallen, in Paris, and in Aachen. Ran out of room when he got to the end. It's interesting just watching these first 2 or 3 go, how that whole line connects together right the way from when you come off the corner to the plank to the end of that line with the combination. I'll come inside. It's quite a relatively easy turn, and because you are coming to an upright, you can feel a bit more confident. Actually faster than Alex. So Olin Leroy goes to the top of the leaderboard, only a fraction faster. When I say a fraction, we're looking at, what, 6/100ths of a second? So not a lot, but it was enough. But both still on a score of 4. Wait for the clear. Now to Spain once more. And no question, one of their big names in the form of Mariana Martinez Bastida. He's got Origi Van Gieseven, 10-year-old stallion by Thunder Van der Soetover. He was in Stuttgart with this horse. He jumped really well in Stuttgart. He came to Stuttgart fresh off the back of a tremendous run here in Spain in the 3-star, a couple of the 3 stars down in Oliva Nova. He's a cracking jockey. Gets a lot of support from the home fans as well, as you would anticipate. Ridden on championship teams at the Europeans and at the World Cup final in Riyadh this year. His first time he qualified to go. Move up a little bit on the distance. Depending on where you take off for the plank, and therefore where you land after the plank, will then determine how you're able to ride the 6 strides on the curve to get into the combination, and where you then take off. It connects it all together. That's a shame. I've seen a few really having to push on a little bit to make the 6 on that curve as well. Again, it just comes down to how they're jumping the parallel off the corner before it. It's going to go the wider line. And he finishes in 65-65 on a score of 4. So he goes into the third. Mariano Martinez Bastida. As I said at the very start, this is faults in time. The jumping comes first. You've got to leave them up. And it's a jumping course. It's a course that will catch you out if you're slightly off balance, slightly out of rhythm. Rhythm and balance, the two keys to the sport. Yes, jumping big fences, but you get to do that when you have those two elements working for you. Now, Eugenio Grimaldi, next up. Pom Pom van Koekoek. 9-year-old, this gelding by Nabab Darev, Nations Cup rider for the Italians. Saw him last in Verona and in Helsinki, having had a little bit of a break after Rome and Piazza de Siena back in May. Just got to rebalance a little bit on the corner. Has gone. He uses himself well through the combination. He's just there, you can see, just having to use a little bit of inside rein against the neck just to hold the horse out. Wants to make that turn, the curve into the next fence just as smooth as possible. You can see it again there. He's just having to hold that inside rein right up against the horse's neck just to try and keep the horse.
It is Seagulls Mark for jumping 6 times to add as well to that score 18. It is 72-48 there. Italy's Eugenio Grimaldi on Van der Koekoek.
So 18 is the score. On we go to the world number 2. There's a real battle going on at the top of this sport in those Longines rankings between this man and the world number 1, Hendrik van Eckermann. Hendrik, of course, not in the lineup. But this man is, Minka is the right, Stig Gerdap, the silver medal winner from Paris, of course gold medal winner from London, but it's the current European champion. Phenomenal rider, and still sort of in awe of that win that he had in Stuttgart a couple of weeks ago. But this ride was the horse that he took to the World Cup finals in Riyadh. He was third with Minka in the World Cup round in Helsinki. She's 11 now, she'll be 12 next year, and by my Lord Carthago, she's very much becoming a prominent member of the team. Used her on a few teams this year. Nations League and Ocala are in that winning team in Brussels. You're riding a good round at the moment until I say that, and then that happens and it's a double.
Sigue resistiendo el cero, ha ido muy deprisa Stig Gerdap, ha hecho el mejor tiempo, ha bajado de 60 segundos, pero llegaron 3 derribos en la parte final del recorrido, en el doble y en el último vertical. 12 para el suizo, mejor tiempo hasta ahora 59-87.
59.87 with that final fence going. It is a total of 12 there for Switzerland.
He finishes on the 12, but look at the time, 59.87 was just reflecting on how quick that was. I mean, comparatively 3 seconds faster than what we've been seeing, so it shows you'd expect now, well, got to predict, I think, more than expect that this class has won sub 60 seconds with a clear. And anything slower than that's still going to be vulnerable. Guido Grimaldi, but what we do not have is a clear. Chape is, our course designer, Chape Javier has given them a real course to think about. I'm sure once the door opens, they'll all start filing through, but for the moment, nobody's managed it. Guido Grimaldi, gentleman. 13-year-old gelding by Vigero Sui for the Italian. Lovely. He sort of had the height, but I think he'd already committed a little bit to the turn. So you slightly shift that balance in the sky. You're always going to run a risk on a back rail. Just gets them to sort of tense up a little bit behind. They can just drop down that little bit quicker. Well, on this occasion, it all went wrong. Interestingly, the judges haven't sounded the bell, so we can continue. I wonder if he'll retire, because the same problem happening twice is enough while he was going to be eliminated, but he'd already put his hand up. I'm not sure yet he's retired. Yeah, Guido, bad luck. We're gentlemen. Just getting a little bit out of sorts there, and I think the confidence had just slipped away. There wasn't much he could do at this moment just to recover it. So still, we wait for a clear. Nothing better than a show jumping class when you've got to wait. Gregory Cotard, your turn. Next to go for France, Coquin de Val. Now this is a beautiful mare by Milo Cartago. From watching them in the past, I know they're quick. Again, rides without those nosebands. These two, they won that Grand Prix and the ranking class in Lier in the 3-star back in September. It was both 150 classes on that occasion, both jump-off classes they came out on top of. If anything that stands against them today, perhaps it's the fact that it is a full one round, and therefore the running of the risk at pace. You've got more fences to jump, but it is a partnership that do have speed. Unfortunately, there you go. And still we wait. It's a shame. No way he was pushing as hard as he could have done once he'd have the fence down, and it came relatively early with the plank going, ended up too close. Interestingly, France first, France second, France third, with Gregory Cotard going into third, all of them on a score of 4. There we go. Right, from France to Brazil here in Spain, in Madrid, hopefully coming our way. Here he is. Marlon Zanatelli and Zizento. Gelding by Zento. These two in Barcelona put in a cracking round to finish third in the Queen's Cup. They've had some very strong rounds this year. They had a 5-star win in Rome. They were well placed in a big Grand Prix at Centaur in that 4-star class. They jumped brilliantly to win a class at Coruña back in the summer. The list goes on. It is a very capable combination. We might not have had a clear yet. Could Marlon deliver the first? How does he tackle this bit? I'll be pleased to get that out of the way, and he's keeping up a really nice rhythm as he comes around the corner, very tight back to the Haloa fence. Had his little bit of luck. Zizento. 2 left to jump. He's kept up a really good pace here, Marlon Zanatelli. He's got 1 fence left to go. And there's the clear, and there's your leader, sub 60, 58.62. Marlon not only clear, but quick as well. Faster even than what we saw from Stig Gerdat with those faults a little earlier, but it's the clear that counts. And that is some combination. They just continue that tremendous run over the course of 2024, where they've been able to win, as I say, some lovely classes. 145, 150, they are a well, combination, 155, a combination to watch. Game on. So now they all know what they've got to do. This is the turn of the man to respond. And, you know, well, the season he's had, the year he's had, never ruled him out, Eduardo Alvarez Esnoir. He's riding wide in Richthof, the 12-year-old mare. It has been a very special season.
And then went on just 2 weeks ago to finish 6th in the Super Grand Prix out in Riyadh. Good luck to him.
What is he able to do?
Spain's Eduardo Alvarez Esnoir.
Of course, we've seen him having a very good season on the global tour. Tidy. This is one of the horses that sort of sat nicely in the team, travelling to a lot of those big global competitions, and when he's needed that second horse, this is a combination with Mehdi Richthof that he's been able to rely on. She's a beautiful mare by Norton Dahl, and she gives her all. Absolutely giving everything here as well. He's not going to be too far away. 58.62. It could chop and change right from the start. It's going to be very tight. He's just behind 59.60. Sorry, 59.96. What a beautiful mare. She's such a star. Really tries for Edu. Tremendous support. But now, I said once the door opened, they start to file through 2 in a row, and both were relatively quick. It also makes you think that Marlon's left a little bit of time on the board, that's for sure. I don't think it's done in that respect. It's not a could well turn into a winning round. It could force enough mistakes out of those still to come, but we'll see what happens, because now it's another chance for France. Julien Ecotin. Z, Ice Cube Z, the 11-year-old gelding by Zakharov, next up tonight in Madrid. Over Casquio Mare. Yeah, he made the trip to Birmingham in the UK for the Horse of the Year show. Came out on top there. But he's a hugely competitive rider. And this horse is very capable, up to 1.60 m. Trying to just, you want to accelerate off that corner, but at the same time, that is your problem. And you're coming to a plank and you need the care. So the little runner clears, stops. We're back to those with faults. .61.67, fastest of those on 4, adds to the list of French riders on a score of 4 that are lining up behind the clears, because we've got the 2 clears for Brazil and Spain, first and second. Julian's gone into third to head a list of 4 for France, all in a row, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Well, the next to go rides for Monaco. There's something special about this over by a Porsche fence, because this is Porsche Carrera Castano. When you sit with that name as your prefix, well, immediately you expect pace and speed, and this 21-year-old who rides for Monaco, Ignacio Lopez de la Oscar Franco, as John just said there, he is the youngest in the 5-star this week, the 9-year-old gelding by Carrera Video. Still a rider, putting mileage though, still learning. Jumped in Verona. He was never going to challenge the likes of Marlon or Edu, but I tell you what, if he jumps it clear, he'll be absolutely delighted. Well deserving of that applause. It's a super round with Porsche Carrera Castano, the youngest rider in the 5-star, the 21-year-old from Monaco. Well done to Inigo Lopez de la Ossa Franco there. Be very happy, I'm sure. 64.94 was a confirmed time. He's gone third for the moment. Meanwhile, we move to Germany and to a rider that rarely concedes defeat until he's had a fence. With this ride at his home show in Stuttgart, he flew to the top of the table in the speed. It is Hans-Dieter Dreher, Vestimal de Cotis, the 15-year-old by Balabet Durouet. It's the sort of rider in the sort of class we're watching that you just never, ever rule him out. 58.62 is the time for Hans to beat. Sensible bit of riding, just sat the horse back, really was careful to pick out his stride for the plank. Now he can go back to just letting Vestimal open up. And he knows this horse so well, it's giving him the confidence to really attack these other fences. It's going to be tight. There won't be much between him and Marlon. 58.62 is the time to beat. Hans-Dieter Wehr is trying to chase to the line. Where is it? 58.94 second. He's 0.3 of a second away from Marlon. And that shows you just how fast Marlon Zanatelli was, because when the likes of Hans-Dieter Wehr can't quite catch you, you know you've got a good time on the board, a very solid time. 3 clears in terms of sub 60 seconds. You've got 4 clears in all, but it's those top 3 that are awfully tight. And Hans there not leaving a lot of a gap between him and the leader, but it's still Brazil out in front as we move into the world's top 10. The world number 6, Max Kühne, next to go. Another rider that's had, well, he's had another tremendous year, hasn't he? Max Kühne. EIC Anton. SBKZ. Stallion by Arco III. What is he able to do? Global Tour, we know, was is to be won this year. This was a horse we've seen across the summer again, just sort of acting in that support role as a 9-year-old, learning over the course of the year. But when he's been asked, he's really stepped up. This is going to be an exciting horse as well next year, whatever happens right here, right now. Tonight it is a fence. And another one, but it's still about putting mileage in. So it's a total of 8, 61.62 with Anton for Max Kühne there for Austria. So nothing changing in terms of the top of the order. Finishing on 8 puts you down in 10th place. Awfully long way still to go tonight though. And we'll take a little pause as well when we get to the halfway mark, but we're nowhere near that either yet, because there's a total of 51 in this class. And what have we got? 14 of them so far. Now back to a rider for Ireland who's no stranger to Madrid. World top 30, Dennis Lynch. This horse is Mr. Boombastic. Julia's 10-year-old gelding by BSC. He took Boombastic out to Riyadh last week alongside Mr. Grand, and to be fair, all of his horses last week jumped well. Of course, with Brooklyn Heights, he finished second in the Longines FEI World Cup round in Stuttgart in Germany 2 weeks ago.
Dennis Lynch acaba de realizar el quinto cero de la prueba. se coloca cuarto de la clasificación con un tiempo de 61 segundos, 99 centésimas, se queda 3 segundos 30.
Job done. 61.99. Didn't overstretch things. Delivered a beautiful clear and just keeps that confident run running even further for that horse. And Mr. Bombastic there, the lovely gelding 10-year-old that is certainly a strong part of the team. Next to go, Gerrit Sibra, the Portuguese star, with Van Halen Z. Georgie's gelding, the 12-year-old by Vigorasui, and a rider that, of course, has starred in the world of eventing, but transition to show jumping has been hugely successful for the Portuguese rider, and he can be so quick.
Good luck to him. It is with Van Halen Z, Duarte, Seabra.
Keeping it clear. Ah, speak too soon, sorry. .65.02 was always quite steady though. So Marlon Zanatelli still leading the way.
Número 17 en pista, Amazona, Noruega, es ganadora de 2 grandes premios internacionales, 4 estrellas en Estados Unidos, en Thermal, en California. Compite con un 10 años, Nevado de
Kirsten, we saw her with Edgar a little earlier. She rides tonight with Nevado de Toulon. The 10-year-old by Toulouse. It's the first chance for Norway here this evening. What can this young lady do? Top 10 finish with this horse in Oslo. She's got herself into a nice rhythm on this round. And I say that, and that happens, but it was not my fault. Bad luck, Ingrid. 60.55, sort of time that would have put her ahead of Dennis Lynch. It's the fastest on 4. She's gone into the top 6 for the moment, but there's a lot of jumping to come. The clears, of course, will just keep slotting in front of her. So Ingrid Gilleston, Norway, Nevado Toulon. It seems that Marlon's put a decent amount of pressure on with that round we saw a little earlier. 58.62. Clara Pozzoli goes next. Quick neck EH.
0.
The bell for the Italian rider.
La zona italiana que está debutando aquí en Madrid en una competición internacional del máximo nivel 5 estrellas y que compite con Quick Neck, caballo que empezó a montar el pasado mes de junio, es Clara Pezzoli.
It was a top 10 finish in the two-star Grand Prix of Rome back in September. For this next partnership, it is for Italy, the 10-year-old Quickneck EH and Clara Pezzoli.
By Necton, an Bavarian stallion out of a Diarado mare. The jump in Verona. Quite a busy year jumping together in the two-star series that runs alongside the Global Tour. It's a shame. It's proved tricky, that line. The Longines double was called out a few. It's been a really solid course from our course designer in terms of just making sure there's a really even spread as ever. Different parts that will catch different horses, but that final line has proved expensive. Now they've picked up time as well. 71.97 is the final time, with that 67 time allowed. The problems there for Italy's Clara Pezzoli. So that was Quickneck EH from one lady to another, and now to one of the Netherlands' leading riders, one of their absolute stars. It's Kim Emmen. She has got Imagine here for the World Cup. We saw jump in that class a little earlier, very much using it as a warm-up. Now she has Island VG, the gelding, the 11-year-old by VDL Zorocco Blue. To try and attack this course, she had a good couple of rounds in Maastricht, also in Valencia prior to that. I was saying earlier, when Marlon, of course, he leads, he finished with that horse and is currently leading this class. Zizento third in the Queen's Cup at Barcelona back in the beginning of October. This combination finished fourth. Cracking round. Clear round should be very pleased, because clears have been a little sparse so far. There are 6 of them, and she slots into 5th place, 64.22, just a fraction faster than the combination sat in 6th of Igninio. So that was Kim Emmen, that was Island VG. Still though, Marlon Zanatelli leads in 58.62 as strolling in to the arena, the man that won the World Cup round here 12 months ago. It is Marcus Henning. Beautiful flower girl, this lovely mare by Hickstead, Adabitoki mare. Rolling out at apparel. Whether tonight's the night he really pushes, we will see, but he'll want to put in a solid round. He doesn't necessarily go as well as I think I've seen this horse go in the past in Stuttgart, but you never know. With Marcus, he could win on pretty much anything if it all goes his way. And tonight Just keeping it relatively steady, although that was a beautiful turn, and he found the perfect stride coming back to the Porsche upright. Just moving the horse a little bit to the side just to open up that combination. Cracking turn. Marcus is riding such a smooth round here with Flower Girl. Oh, what a shame. Just rolled the pole away. Well, 62.26. I mean, I think he would have had fourth had he not run into trouble with the fences and kept that original pace going, but it isn't to be. Marcus Henning, Flower Girl finishing on a total of 8 there. So, Germany, though, sitting in second with Hans-Dieter Dreher. Certainly is only 6 clear. Next to go, Cian O'Connor. Carlswood Partners, Funky Fred Malenhoff's Z, the 10-year-old stallion, but of course has been such a influential ride in the career of Lars Kjærsten. Cian, who's taken things over, of course, and now the new rider. Lars, who rode this horse up to the Nations Cup final in Barcelona for the Longines League of Nations before Cian now in the driving seat or the riding seat. They've been down in Spain and in Portugal, jumping in a few of the shows there. And I mean, this is a horse that, I mean, last season on the World Cup circuit really came to the fore and has never really stopped being a contender ever since. Certainly been a big hand to the Dutch team over the course of the year, and I'm sure will be very much a big help to the Irish team. But Cian in a very great position of being able to keep strengthening up. I saw him riding Bentley a little earlier. Keeping up quite a pace as well. He's not going to challenge her. He's had the fence. And he's had the last as well. 60.81. The time would have seen him fourth anyway, but it is down in 14th. Drops 10 places as 2 fences fall for Funky Fred and Cian O'Connor. So still Dennis Lynch, the best of the Irish, and Ireland though still got a certain Mikey Pinder to come a little later in the draw. Marlon Zanatelli, Hans-Dieter Dreher, Eduardo Alvarez Esnoir, the 1, 2, 3. Well, the next to go for Great Britain has already proved his pace, if he ever needed to prove his pace. In fact, if there's one rider from Great Britain that never needs to prove his pace, his name is Matthew Sampson. He took the win a little bit earlier on in the opening ranking class, the first of the 5-star competitions. Very different kettle of fish here this evening, but I'm sure he'll have the same level of determination with the Davenport's Daniel. This ride that is, of course, originally with Angeli Van Essen, but Matthew's built such a lovely relationship with this stallion. 16 now by Heartbreaker, and has been a real part of his climb up the world rankings. Sitting now inside the world's top 40. He lost the rhythm a little bit to try and adjust for the plank. But he and Daniel have still found their way through the combination now. We can go back to that forward open stride. This final line has proved as tricky as any other part of this course. And unfortunately for Matt, it does to him what it's done to several others. He's gone wide on the swing back as well to the last. 61.54. We'll never know. Had he turned inside, had he jumped that fence clear and been pushing to the last, where he would have ended up. But you know, he's still second fastest on 4 and goes into the top 10 with the lack of clears at the moment. 6 so far. So he's into 8th place, and he can be relatively happy in the knowledge that he blitzed the opposition in the opening ranking class a little earlier on. Lea de Coulon next up for the Swiss. Easy Boy de Aubry Z is the 10-year-old gelding by the great Emerald. Relatively young jockey, a young rising star, 24 years of age for the Swiss. She's able to do in this big class here this evening. First time for this horse jumping with her in a 5-star event. We've had a good run on the way here, although this again is a combination that you really know is stepping up here tonight. 150. They have jumped 150 in Oliva in the 3-star Grand Prix before travelling here, but that was the first time. So they'll be working out 1 or 2 questions and getting answers as they go. You know what, for a combination with no 5-star experience and a young rider for the Swiss, what a shame. She's had that last fence. She lost that on the turn back to the last. She just struggled to get inside, but I tell you what, that is a star in the making. Lea de Coulon and Easy Boy de Aubry Z, 63.43. Yeah, just struggled to get that inside turn, and in doing so, it cost her that balance, and she drifted even further in towards the right-hand side of that fence. But yeah, I'll take nothing away from the performance she put into that point with that horse, and certainly showing a lot of talent. So there for the Swiss, as it stands, the best of their riders, but outside of the top 10, and an ever-growing list on a score of 4. Still only 6 clear rounds so far out of 23. So fascinating sort of challenge here this evening. We've got 3 to go before the break, and that will of course be the halfway mark. And there is some quite brilliant combinations to come in the second half, and some riders that we know will push and go quick. I mean, there's over 100,000 euros in the prize fund this evening. This is not a small prize fund on a Friday evening. This is big money, and one they will all be trying to find their way to the top in. Interesting though, we have a little bit of a hold at the moment. We should be expecting Robert Whittaker, although I'm unaware of any issues. We'll just wait to find out. Of course, there could be any number of reasons, but there we go, here they are. The beautiful Vimento, the ride, this stunning stallion by Argento that took Robert to the win in the World Cup round in Helsinki a few weeks back in that second leg of the Western European League. A horse that has so come of age in the last few years. That big Grand Prix win at Hickstead a couple of years ago in the King George. It is a combination, as John is saying as well there, that were, I mean, he was on the Nations Cup team with this horse that won at Hickstead this year, and on that team was his dad, and of course the great John Whittaker, who bred this horse. Of course, it's by Argento. There's a lovely story behind it, and it's great to see Robert at this level having the horsepower to really mix it with the best. He's always had that talent, but you just had to bring that team of horses back together again, and that he's been able to do over the last couple of years, and this has been that leading part in the team, and his owner Caroline Blatchford and Stephen as well, Brian Stephen Blatchford. Dived a little bit at it. He was perhaps taking a bit of a risk. We've seen others come to that with a little bit more care. Well, they've already proved this season they can win at the top end, at the biggest and highest level of the sport tonight. Just not their night. 66-18 for Memento and Robert Whittaker. So still Marlon Zanatelli leading this 100,000 plus euro prize funded class. The qualifier, of course, for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup round that will take place here in Madrid on Sunday. It's, of course, the first week of the Spanish double header of World Cups on FEI TV. We have Madrid this week and Coruña next week. Phil Gazala will be with you on Sunday for your Sunday afternoon treat from both legs in Madrid before there's a week off and then the run in to London. But this is for Sweden now. Wilbur Helmström riding CCBJN. This is the star of the stable, the mare that helped to success at European level. Part of the team also finished in 6th place in the World Cup round in Stuttgart. And last time out by CC Senior Ask out of a Tornesh mare. And this is a lovely mare that really has super ability. Kept it clear, and I'll tell you again, she's not that slow. This is certainly able to go into the top 4, and she's done it. Wilma Helmström, CCBJN, the consistent combination, but have got pace as well. Delivering there a round that's seen her dislodge Dennis Lynch into 5th, Kim Emman now 6th. Doesn't quite break up the top 3, but sits in 4th. Nicely done. So Sweden moving in and giving us what is only the 7th clear in this first half of the class so far, but there is one more to go before the break, and it will be a chance for the home crowd to get behind, because it's a chance for Spain next up with Armando Trapote riding the 10-year-old stallion Captain Hook. Keeping an eye out, see where they are. Just a little bit of a pause is the case. We will see. Captain Hook. Where are you? Comparing with that nice trip to Valencia the other day where they last week. In fact, they're not coming in at this moment in time. We're going straight into the break. If we hear any news, I'll give it to you, but in the meantime we go to the break. I'm not sure why, but nevertheless, we've seen a great opening half. It is a tense competition, balanced very finely because of the fact that it's easy to knock a fence down tonight. Only 7 have gone clear. Marlon Zanatelli was the first to do that, and at the moment still is in first. 58.62 as close as Hans Dieter Dreher got on 58.94. It is second for the German ahead of the Spanish star, Eduardo Alvarez Esnoir in third. But we are only halfway done. Let's take a short pause. 5 or 6 minutes. We'll be back live here in Madrid.
prueba madrileña. Prueba que lidera Marlon Módolo Zanotelli por delante de Hans Dieter Drecker, Eduardo Álvarez Aznar, Vilma Hellström.
Seconds out, round 2. Welcome back. Here we go. Second half of this one-round Fulton time competition here in Madrid. It is Madrid Horse Week, the opening night. 5-star riders with a big prize to compete for, over 100,000 euros, 105,500 euros worth of prize money. At the moment, the biggest share of which is in the hands of our leader, Marlon Zanotelli, the Brazilian star who gave us that opening clear round on Zizento, and at the moment is still unbeaten. There are 7 clears in total out of the 25. But we will see what happens in the second half. Now it's Edouard Schmitz. Big chance for the Swiss. That's a good round from the young Swiss rider Léa de Coulon a little earlier. It is a course that has certainly proved tricky in places. Final line is costly. In fact, he's not going to jump the last. That's disappointing from his perspective. Edouard Schmitz there, and Abul Jabbar de Guibert kicking things off in this second half, but showing right from the beginning of the second half just what we've been seeing in the first half. It is tough. Well, I'm told it's going to be Edouard. It's a Monday now, Armando Traponte and Captain Hook. Of course, we were due to see them before the break, but they'd lost a shoe in the warm-up, which is why they got pushed down the order and delayed slightly, quite fairly. And now they're ready to go, Captain Hook. So, the 10-year-old stallion by Candagos. That decent little run coming here, but it's a big night under the lights.
Third in the World Cup qualifier of Coruña 12 months ago. The next for Spain with Captain Hook. It's Armando Traponte.
See how much energy this stallion is just looking to try and bring to this arena, and really sort of rocking in the canter. Focus on the fences. Jumps through the combination. There's definitely more speed available, but at the moment he's playing careful. And that, with the way the night's gone so far, is perhaps the best way to get to the finish. Takes the wider line. Spain get their second clear of the night. Oh no, they don't. I mean, as near as you can, 67.60. They've picked up a time penalty there. Armando Traponte and Captain Hook. He's happy enough because the clears are few and far between. So he was always going for a steady clear, and he's picked up a time penalty, which is much of the same. So he's gone into 8th place ahead of Ingrid Giston, who's the fast 4. So 8th place on his own. But next to go, we get back into the order and back to France with Lara Treba riding Memphis Z. France, we've seen a run of decent rounds from French riders, just sadly they all ended up with a fence down. What can this young lady do? 26 years of age, and problems here with this horse Memphis the first time. And they're ringing the bell for fun at the moment. I heard it ring again and again and again. I'm not sure what's happened.
Next to join us here for France, good luck to her, with Memphis and Laura Treiber.
I think they've had a little bit of a reset on the countdown now and started again. So she jumped this horse in Verona last time out. Had a top 4 finish in the 155 class there. She put in a tremendous performance as well in Lyon. Skilled in by Milo Cartago's got a lovely big powerful jump. Again, time penalty. But actually ever so slightly faster than Amondo. So should be happy. Goes into 8th place. She certainly is happy. Very much into the money. 7 clears, 2 on a time penalty, and those 2 come back to back. Still though, Marlon Zanatelli holding on to the top spot, but could this combination change that? Martin Fuchs goes next. He rides L and L upgrade. These L&L horses owned by Laura Connolly and Luigi Belleri, 2 tremendous supporters of his career. This 11-year-old is by Ultimo. Last time I saw these 2 jump was the last time they did jump. That was in the big 160 International Trophy in Helsinki on the Saturday night, which they won. What can they do here tonight? There's no question he set off with one intention. Former world #1 and a man that is certainly making his way back towards the world top 10. He sits at 11 on the latest rankings. It will all, of course, be refreshed in a few days' time. Oh, no! Didn't even hear him tap it. Never mind saw it. $61.59, but it was a steady around once the fence had gone. Martin Fuchs goes into the top 12 as it currently stands with L&L upgrade. So the Swiss superstar missing out, but still sitting on 7 clears and 2 on a time penalty. He's the 3rd fastest of what is quite a chunk of riders on a score of 4. But it is still Marlon Zanatelli that leads the way, and the Brazilian out in front. But now it is the turn of Sweden, and of course it's Marlon's wife, Angelica Augustusson Zanatelli goes next with the horse actually Marlon rode at the last Pan Am Games in Santiago last year. It's Decida Cocrier, and that class, that big international grand trophy in Helsinki that Martin won with L&L upgrade that I was just talking about, this combination, it was also the last time they were out competing, and they finished in 3rd there in Helsinki. So they also partnership that has got plenty of potential. She's set off with the pace. Just jumped a little bit to the left. She had to make a bit of a correction to get back into the middle. She did a great job there. Well, husband and wife battling for the top spot here because this is fast. How quick can she be? Oh, it's into second by the merest. I mean, I thought it was already tight between Hans and Marlon, but that 58.68 is just 6/100ths of a second behind her husband, Marlon Zanatelli and Angelica. So the Zanatellis, Mr. and Mrs., first and second. It's class on a Friday night in Madrid. What a phenomenon. That's the first time I've seen that. I'm not saying it'll stay that way, but I mean, good luck trying to squeeze into the gap between them because it is so tight. But then comes this young man, and you know, he is still young. Michael Pender seems to have been winning big classes at the top end of this sport for so many years, and he's still just 25 years of age. The 25-year-old ranked 41 in the world at the moment. Michael Pender's got HHS Los Angeles, the 10-year-old. A good run with this horse in the last few weeks, or October was the last time they really rode together. He was at that Nations Cup meeting that Ireland won in Villa de Frontera. He also won the Grand Prix the week before. And he doesn't need to look fast to be fast. Wouldn't think he's not going to be as fast though as the Zanatellis. More concentrated on leaving the fences standing, and he's going to go into 7th place just behind his Irish teammate Dennis Lynch. Michael Pender, 63.87. Sort of put the brakes on, but he's played careful tonight in a game where clear rounds have been tough to find, and he's got himself safely round with a 0 score. 63.87 ahead of Kim Eman into 7th place. So 2 for Ireland in the top 10. So we say in the clears, which is the 9. 1 for Monaco, 1 for the Netherlands, 1 for Germany, 1 for Spain, 1 for Brazil, 2 for Sweden. Sadra goes next. It's France once more with Dexter de Caglen, this beautiful stallion that is, I mean, and she's another rider that has really established herself so well at the top of the sport. 23 years of age, winner of Paris' big 5-star global Grand Prix this year. Lovely stallion by Milo Cartago. Rode in Riyadh at the World Cup final this season, just gone. A little bit like Mikey Pender, she's taken the approach of I know I can jump this course clear, but what I don't need to do is risk it by trying to catch Marlon Zanatelli, 63.65. She says I'm faster than Michael Pender by a couple of tenths of a second. She's put herself into the top 10 in 7th place and 10 clears now. They seem to be a little bit more frequent in this second half of the draw, yet still hard to find. And demonstrating again the tremendous youth and the way the sport is, there's always, we see the changing of, we see the development of young horses is what I'd rather say, is development of young horses in this sport. We're also seeing a real development of young riders at the top end over the recent years. It's a lot of talent now breaking through into these big events. Jennifer Husdatter for Liechtenstein is another of those, alongside the likes of Michael and Gian. Maybe not quite at the same level of success, but she's just 21 years of age. And another of the young stars. She rode at the Europeans in Milan last year, and I remember watching her put in some tremendous results this season. She was 4th with Golden Lady in that World Cup final in Verona. I say World Cup final, I mean the World Cup round in Verona. She did a brilliant round in Lyon as well. They'll still make mistakes and still have fences down, but they're learning on the world stage and in the spotlight. Sadly, from her point of view, that one fence, of course, costing her a chance of a top 10 position for the moment, 64.06. Seen her in on time, but as I say, she's only 21 and another of the crop of rising stars in the sport of show jumping. Next to go, we move from, perhaps the best way to put it, from youth to experience. Marco Kutscher goes next. Of course, a bronze medalist from the 2004 Athens Olympic Games. He's ridden in Hong Kong, Beijing, as well as part of the German team. Has ridden at World Cup finals and has been a real star over the years for Germany. So he rode the wonderful Cornel Oblensky in his career, and has gone on to be one of the, if not the stallion, breeding stallion of them all. Here he is with Avantador S, 7-year-old stallion by Armitage, out of a charming boy Matt. Put in a solid round in Stuttgart in the German Masters to finish in the top 10. Clear round. Experience counts. 63.58, faster than both Gian Sedra and Michael Pender. They dropped to 8th and 9th. Gemamin into 10th. As Marco Kutscher goes into 7th place and gives Germany now 2 in the top 10. One side 2 for Ireland and 2 for Sweden. But it is the Brazilian rider Marlon Zanatelli that leads. Of course, though, it is Zanatelli 1-2 at the moment, with Marlon leading Angelica. Next to go, we look to the Italian star Pier Giorgio Bucci. He rides Hantano. Gelding by Quasimodo Z.
evening, and it is the combination of Road to Sing and their home Grand Prix in Rome back in September. It is Riley Pantano, here's Giorgio Bucci.
Ridden on multiple championships and Nations Cup teams. Won the 3 4-star Grand Prix in Valencia at the end of October with this horse. By Quasimodo Z out of a numero uno mare. He was also on that winning Nations Cup team with this horse in Warsaw at the EEF final. At the moment, he's doing what he needs to here, although again, how close he can get to Marlon. In fact, probably closer than I'd given him originally credit for, because this is certainly chasing the clock down, and he's not going to be far off if he gets over the last. He's not quite quick enough to go into the top 3, but it is to 5th for Giorgio Bucci, 60.16, and Hatano showing a lot of quality here this evening in Madrid. That lovely gelding by Quasimodo Z, the 12-year-old, showing great consistency. So what a run of clears, we're suddenly picking up to 12 now, having struggled a bit in the first half. Next to go is Daniel Deusser. Daniel, again, another of the big names in this sport that's, of course, a former world #1 and making his way back up the rankings. He's, you know, like so many, he's had to rotate with horses and rebuild slightly, and that over the course of this year has certainly come to fruition. He's got that tremendous, of course, relationship and home at the Stefek stables in Belgium as this German superstar. Tonight he's riding his and theirs Tele de Good Bloom, 10-year-old stallion by the great Tobago Z, of course, another of his superstar rides. But he went with his team of horses out to Mexico, where he was in absolutely flying form. He'll have piled on the ranking points over the past couple of months with some big wins out there, including with this one in Monterrey La Silla. But tonight, it's a plank that steps in the way. Wanted to make sure he still puts a reasonable time on the board. He turned inside, Daniel Anatello. Of course, the only difference as well to jumping out in Mexico to coming here to Madrid is this is indoors, so there is always that initial change, and you know, these horses are well schooled and trained in indoor schools, but there is always that moment where they can be so easily distracted, just even if it is for the merest of moments, that could cause you offence. Cost you offence. Petronella Anderson goes next, back with Sweden. Of course, Sweden with both Angelica Zanatelli sitting in second and Wilbur Holmström sitting in 6th at the moment. This is Castellers van de Berenacker Z, the 13-year-old gelding.
This lady has been winning Grand Prix left, right and centre for the past 18 months now. With Castellers van de Berenacker Z, Petronella Anderson.
She has been having a tremendous run and picked up plenty of top Grand Prix results, although more in recent time with this horse. Should be looking to try and rediscover a little bit of the form from the summer. She jumped very well in Falsterbo and in Dublin with this ride. Just needing to put a little bit of pressure on there to jump the Porsche upright. She's going to need to do it again coming out of here. was quite a sharp little turn as well. She kept it smooth, but it was tight. She's not far away. 58.62 again. She'll put the leader under pressure, but again, it's going to be just over 60. And that, though, is 3 for Sweden in the top 7. She's just pipped Vilma by around a second or so. So Petronella Anderson going up there into the top 6, slots in behind Giorgia Bucci, who of course we've just seen, but it's certainly mixing things up. The only thing that hasn't changed is Marlon Zanatelli. The opening clear still leads the way, 58.62. He's not been beaten yet, but his wife is sat in second, just 6/100ths of a second behind. Now to Simon Deleste, Diamo BDS. There's plenty of talent, both horses and riders, that will leave Marlon not feeling particularly comfortable about the fact that he might be leading at the moment. He'll know if riders know instinctively whether the time is beatable, but you know, we've still got to see another rider go and do it. What can Simon do with Diamo VDS, the 10-year-old stallion by Thunder van de Sutova? He's certainly not hanging around. I mean, it is a horse that is good and quick. Jumped well in Verona in the 150 there to finish in third. He was on the Nations Cup with it in Rabat. It's got consistency. Gonna get tight. The times are certainly compressing in the top 10. And that goes into 7th, somehow splitting the 2 riders from Sweden. I was just talking about Petronella Anderson and Vilma Helmström now find themselves with Simon Deleste sitting in 7th. So Petronella stays 6th, but Vilma dropping into 8th place. And that is the best from France. I mean, it's certainly, yeah, as I say, it's getting awfully sort of tight up there. 58.62 leads. Simon's time, 61.01. It's 2.5 seconds, that's all. Peter de Vos jumped a nice little round earlier on Jarina, and this is Primo, another really nice horse. This 9-year-old by Viga de Sui is a lovely gelding out of a heartbreaker mare. Finished third in the Grand Prix in Maastricht, and I mean, having watched this combination in Helsinki and then again watching them, was it the week after or 2 weeks after in Maastricht? But to be fair, I'm becoming a bit of a Peter de Vos fan club fan member, because I think he's got such great horses. But this one really stands out. I really like it. I have no connection to Peter. I just have been really impressed with the way this horse has performed over some of the shows I've seen it at recently. This by, as I say, Viga de Sui, this lovely 9-year-old gelding, I think will be moving on up the gears next year. The stable's in a very good place. Yes, he kept it tight, kept it smooth. He's not wasting time, but he's trying to make sure he plays sensible. He'll know the times have started to compress at the top, and he just needs to put himself in there. Nicely done, jumps the clear. Top 10, Peter de Vos, 62.47. Primo DV keeping that consistency as he books a top 10 position for the moment. But also know that the chances are he'll slide out of the top 10 with that round, because there is still some very good horses and riders left in the draw. We've still got 12 of them to come. Next to go, Jesus Sagramida and Chavara riding here with Calais. There's a chance for Spain. One of two riders for Spain still left to go. Best for Spain at the moment still is Eduardo Alvarez Esmar, sitting up there in 4th place in the order. Holstein Gelding next up by Companionio. These two finished in the top 5 in the Grand Prix in Gijón back at the beginning of September. Also went to Vera de Frontera to the 3-star in October, where they finished in the top 10 in the Grand Prix. Yeah, I think me and the crowd all were watching that back rail. It is a gelding that has a lot of spring, though. See, quite a compact type. Quite a quick type. I tell you what, Spain are about to lead this class. What a round that was! What a round! Jesus Granada, Echevarria and Calais have just rewritten what was quick. Marlon Zanatelli had been in the lead for so long. And we've got used to watching horses and riders when they've tried to push running into problems. But that beautiful gelding had a real spring in his step. And he was just eating up the ground from start to finish. What a round. Calais has just taken over at the top, and Spain on the opening night for Madrid Horse Week have got a leader in the form of that combination. Well, brilliant. 57-1-1. I mean, it wasn't like he took over at the top by a small amount either. He's taken over a second, nearly a second and a half, in fact. It is a second and a half off Marlon Zanatelli. Well, the standard just gets stronger, and we are still not done. Robin Muir goes next. Galaxy HM is the name of the horse. This gelding by Quality Time for the Israeli rider. The Crawford mare. This was his horse that he rode in Paris this summer. Oh, that's a shame. Coming around to the final fence on that score of 462-1-1. Otherwise would have been out of the 10 anyway, but nevertheless, having a fence down, certainly costing him quite a few positions. That was Robin Muir and Galaxy. That means we now turn to Canada, to Cara Chad and Igor GPH for the Canadian Star, a rider that has ridden at the World Championship. She did so in Tryon back in 2018. This is Igor GPH. Cara, who took that win in Barcelona at the Longines League of Nations final in one of those supporting classes. 5-star competitions there. She's got the potential. It's by Harley, this 11-year-old gelding. 57-1-1 though. It's quite some standard for all of them to try and beat now. First of the final 10, Cara Chad for Canada. She's certainly moving. Ooh, how can she recover that? She can't. That is a shame. I'd love to have seen a replay of it because it was all happened so quick, but that little jink just costing her the ability. She might have just got away with it on a 4, certainly on a 5 stride, but with that being a 3 stride at distance, there just wasn't the space to fix the problem. Picking up time, 73.23. So still for Spain, it is Jesus Gramida that leads the way with Calais.
No other option but to go for it now. It's at 57.11 leading. It is 4 for jumping, 7 for time, so a total of 11 for Canada's Clara Chad and Igor GPH.
Sí está clasificado el siguiente jinete con un extraordinario caballo con el que ha logrado medallas de bronce individual en todos los Juegos Olímpicos y en un mundial. Caballo ganador de grandes
What happens next will come down to what mood Michael's in with Beauville, because we would all know that this is one of the fabulous, one of the great horse and rider combinations in this sport. And Beauville ZNOP, Michael van der Vleuten. I mean, Michael set off, and he's doing it again. He is going to go for it. He did it earlier. He got pipped on that occasion by Matt Sampson, despite the fact he really took on that opening class. But now he's going to try and pull one over on Jesus Gramida. He's leading the way at the moment. How close is he going to get? He's not going to be far away. Whether he can quite... No, he's not quite for the top spot, but that's still a good round, sub 60. Top 6, Michael van der Vleuten. He's left a little bit in there. Over ZNOP. 3 times an individual bronze medal winning ride of Michael van der Vleuten, twice at an Olympic Games, including this summer in Paris, and of course the World Championships as well. When it comes to individual consistency, he and that ride are without question one of the greats of this sport. But when it came to speed tonight, just a couple of seconds away. Still top 6 ahead of Pier Giorgio Bucci, shuffles the deck below, but it's still Eduardo Alvarez as Noir in 5th, and Didre in 4th. Mrs. Zanatelli in 3rd, and Mr. Zanatelli in 2nd, and then there's this Garaminda leading. René Lopez, Liz Arazo goes next. Kiros van Hugenheid, the Colombian, been consistently impressive. He had that great round in, was it back in, it was a Paris-Hermé back in March, and then ever since then I kept seeing him pop up in the results. He had that win in Rotterdam. Of course, he rode in Paris to compete in yet another Olympic Games, and he's just had that downer, sadly. 61.52. In terms of those on 4, not that he's specifically going to want to know this, he's the second fastest of those on 4, but as you can see, it also puts him down in 21st place. Even those on 4, the fastest of which is Ingrid Gielsten, who sits in 20th place, 60.55. If you compared that to the clear round times, would only put her in 9th place. The clears are certainly the quicker. Now, next to go, Diego Ramos Minero. This is Spain's final combination of the 7 left to go. Of course, the Spanish crowd will be hoping that things stay as they are at the moment, with Spain 1st and 5th, but they certainly wouldn't object to seeing this combination finding their way into the mix as well. Diego and Encantado, this lovely Verdi stallion, of course another of the rising stars who's certainly put himself on the map this year. He had that lovely result in the big class, the Grand Prix in Coruña this year. Diego Ramos Minero here with this stallion by Verdi. Got the turn back. He needs to just be a little bit careful he doesn't overrush to the final part there. I started it upright. He's got that out of the way. Again, he's not on the pace of our leader, but clear round here will certainly count. Oh! Well, he dived at the last. He was trying to cut the speed, or cut the angle down. He was moving and moving over to the right-hand side. 64.43 would have put him in 17th. It was one of the slower rounds, but even more costly because of the fence disappointment. But full marks for trying. Yeah, Ramos Minero. So it is all over to Jesus Garamendia, who leads. Has he done enough to hold it out to the end? Still riders to go for France, Norway, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, and this combination for the Netherlands. Leopold van Osten, VDL Group Chiara, the 9-year-old mare by Clearway.
This man knows what it takes to qualify for a World Cup final. He's gone on to take top 10 finishes at World Cup finals in years gone by. It is for the Netherlands with VDL Group Chiara.
Experience in the saddle with the horse, this mare, and she's a lovely mare, this Dutch warm blood. Again, though, she's been on that journey over the course of this year, and it's only in sort of recent shows, Livolden and Maastricht, where they stepped up to 1.50 m. Certainly been able to answer the questions a little bit easier in this second half of the group, and this is not just answering them, it's flying along. Leopold is going to be around that 60-second mark, which should see him into the top 10. 2 for the Dutch now up there in the top 10 as it stands. He's a little faster than Simon Deleste, who now drops into 10th place, 9th in the order. The top 10 with 2 for Spain, 2 for Sweden, 2 for the Netherlands. Add to the mix Brazil, Germany, and Italy and France. So now to Denmark. Andreas Skju, 11-year-old gelding by president called Napoli Van Het Nerenhoff.
Vamos ya con los 5 últimos jinetes, todos ellos ya clasificados para el Gran Premio. El primero de ellos en pista, danés, jinete que ha estado en los Juegos Olímpicos de este año con este caballo, el Napoli Van Het Nerenhoff, Andreas Koch.
Denmark next to feature. This man has had a fine season, he really has, with Grand Prix placings in Stockholm, Monaco and in Helsinki, just a month
Here
ago.
we go.
Denmark it is, with Napoli Van Het Nerenhoff, Andreas Koch.
Oh, he's had the first fence. How disappointing. This was his ride in Paris this year. Taken over as his top ride from Dart Deluxe. That was his Olympic ride in Tokyo. Very skew there. Sadly, not having the best of nights with Napoli, finishing there on a total of 17. Sure, he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. Well, next up, it's the turn of Belgium's Gregory Waterley. There is, without question, 2 riders left in the draw that you really don't, which set this class as a class that is not done. One of those will go last when we get to him. You'll know who I mean if you weren't with us to look at the start list. I'll give you a clue and tell you the last to go is the world number 5. Meanwhile, we're going into the world's top 30 with Gregory, and of course the winner of Oslo with James Bond de la Haye. This tonight, Double Joe de Honvolt. 11-year-old Saint-Français by Canaan. And this is certainly one that you would think should be relatively competitive in this sort of class. He was 4th in the Grand Prix in Lyon. He was also in the top 10 in the Grand Prix in Oslo. And he's moving quite swiftly here. If he gets a good shot to the plank and he can sit back and just hold, gets the stride into the combination, just needs to be careful coming out. He's done that. He's really going to force the issue off the turn, and he got there. That's Gelding really showing heart and lots of power. Now needs the care as well. I get the feeling Gregory Waterley is about to upset this Spanish crowd. Quite possibly it's going to be very, very tight. Where is he? Second. Oh, 58.06. In the end, he's, 9/10, nearly a second away, but I'm not sure quite where he lost it, because he looked like he was up at the beginning. Tremendous effort. Gregory Waterley living up to the billing, been a challenge to Jesus Garamendia, who leads, and still this Spanish crowd have got their star at the top of the leaderboard in the big opening night on a Friday here at Madrid Horse Week. 105,500 euros in the prize fund. And take nothing away from any of these final 3, but certainly the man and the horse that go last will offer the biggest challenge to anybody in this class. I mean, when they all saw the draw this morning, they must have all been quaking in their boots when they realised the world number 5 was going to go last. But Alessandra here for Austria. Here and now. This is Aurelia, the 10-year-old, the gelding, by Denzel van Mullenhof. Took her to the Europeans, of course, as part of that Austrian success for a bronze medal, and in Milan last year was part of the team. But the fence has gone, and another adds to that long list of fours, although we have probably a longer list of clears with the way this class has eventually gone. There are 19 of them now. Alexander there finishing on a total of 466.08 for Austria, leaving us just 2 more to go. And still, Spain lead. Belgium, they're second now, Brazil in third. I mean, Marlon will be delighted, I think. I mean, to jump the opening clear and still be sat in third after a strong round. But next up, Therese Sølund Henriksen goes for Norway with Santos Z, the first of these final 2 combinations. The 12-year-old stallion by Spartacus TN. Jumping the other day in Oliva here in Spain, where they finished in the top 4 in the 3-star Grand Prix, having finished 5th the day previous in the qualifier. Jumped in Oslo, more than capable at this height, but it is quite some pace that has been set. It's a combination we've seen in a few Nations Cups for Norway over the course of this summer season. Santos Z, Therese Sølund Henriksen for Norway. Well, unfortunately, not to be when it comes to the clear. And there we have it. 9 is the score with the time as well. So one more to go. Jesus Garamendia for Spain leads the way, 57.11, and then, like I've been saying, I mean, what must everybody have thought when this man and this horse ended up as the last to go in the drawn order when they all got a look at it? Julien Epillard and Donatella Doge. And not to say he'll win it, but you are looking at potentially the fastest rider in the sport with perhaps his fastest horse. It doesn't come off every time, but if it does and he leaves them up, 57.11 is a very beatable time, and he's already got that engine revving. Good luck, Julia. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this. But it's over at the first! Oh, no! Give them the big build-up and they'll knock them down. But I say like that, you know, it's got to come off. Nobody in this sport, and this is not a sport that, you know, anybody can be perfect on. You can have the biggest build-up and the biggest billing, and you're still vulnerable to a fence falling anywhere. And it happens to the best of them. But I stand by what I said. You know, when it comes to speed and comes to performance against the clock, rarely is there a combination that can beat these two when they get it right. Tonight is not their night. Tonight is Spain's night, and I am delighted not only for Hedges Garamadia, I'm delighted for this whole Spanish crowd here on the Friday night in Madrid. They are going to be absolutely delighted. The challenge was over at the first, 66-22 with a steady round on Donatello Dos. Julian Epilard has won this class previously, but it isn't his tonight. Tonight, it is Spain's night. Jesus Carmida Echevarria Ancales, the 13-year-old, has taken the top spot, and it is Spain who win on a Friday night in Madrid. What a brilliant start to this show, and what a great night of sport. An absolutely brilliant competition that was, because you know, right up until that first fence went down for Julia, you know, you just never knew all the way through. Full marks to Jesus Garamendia for the win. Second, a superb performance from Gregory Waterley for Belgium, and well done to Mr. and Mrs. Zanatelli, who have finished third and fourth. Well done to Marlon and to Angelica. Fifth going to Hans-Dieter Dreher for Germany, and Spain in sixth as well with Eduardo Alvarez Esnar. It has been a good night for Spain, and of course now the focus for the big riders will turn to Sunday. But before that, we've got a lot to bring you, as we will of course have the 6-bar to come a little later, 10:30 this evening. Tomorrow there's some top class jumping as well with the 5-star classes. And then it is Sunday afternoon with that 3 o'clock start for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup, the Grand Premio, or the Grand Prix of Madrid, the city of Madrid. It's a big afternoon of sport, and it's a double header as well, because tomorrow we'll have the FEI Dressage World Cup as well for the freestyle double header for the World Cup series here at Madrid Horse Week. Well done again. Jesus, tonight though, it is your night in the qualifier. The big win goes to Spain. Look forward to catching up a little bit later. Hope you can join us, and I'll be back for the 6-bar.
¿Hola? Que no tienes seguro para mi coche eléctrico. Adiós, yo me voy a la curva.
Vente a la mutua y además de las mejores coberturas, te bajamos el precio de tus seguros, sea cual sea. Llama al 91 555 5555 91 555 5555.
Hola, vente a la mutua.
Pues vamos ya con la entrega de premios de esta prueba trofeo mutua madrileña, la prueba grande, la más importante del día de hoy del Internacional 5 estrellas, una prueba emocionante en la que hemos disfrutado hasta el último momento y más aún si cabe, porque el vencedor es un jinete español. Ha estado a punto de hacer hoy el doblete. Si no hubiera derribado el último salto de la prueba anterior, habría ganado la prueba anterior y habría ganado esta. Pero en cualquier caso, qué mérito tiene, qué competitivo es, cómo sale siempre a ganar con esa maravilla de caballo tordo llamado Callas. Es el ganador de la prueba, es un jinete español. Ese aplauso para Jesús Garmendia. Bueno, hemos asustado un poquito al jinete alemán, bueno, al caballo del jinete alemán, pero todo sea por aplaudir al jinete español. Y ahora sí, les ruego se pongan de pie para escuchar en honor del vencedor el himno nacional español. Español en honor de Jesús Garmendia Echevarría, ganador del trofeo mutua madrileña, y don Ignacio Garralda Ruiz Velasco, presidente del grupo mutua madrileña, se dirige al vencedor, al que va a felicitar y le va a entregar ese trofeo. Ahí están las felicitaciones y la bandeja como ganador de la prueba grande del día de hoy para Jesús Garmendia. Entregado el trofeo, victoria española en esta competición, prueba grande del día de hoy. Vamos ya con el segundo clasificado. Lo intentó de todas las maneras posibles, hizo sufrir a Jesús, no lo consiguió, pero también merece un fuerte aplauso el segundo clasificado, el belga Gregory Matelé. Don Daniel Entre Canales, presidente del comité organizador del CEMA Madrid 2000, que entrega el trofeo al segundo clasificado. Y ahora va a hacer lo propio con el tercero. Montando a 600, jinete brasileño. Ese aplauso para Marlon Módulo Zanatelli. Daniel Entre Canales entregando el trofeo al tercer clasificado. Y como les decía antes durante la prueba, el matrimonio ha estado hoy a un gran nivel. Tercer puesto para Marlon Módulo Zanatelli. Y la cuarta plaza para su esposa, la amazona sueca. El aplauso para ella también, por favor. Angelica Zanatelli, que montó antes de Coquerín. Don Álvaro Arrieta, presidente de Oser Sport, felicitando a la cuarta clasificada. Y ahora vamos a por el quinto, que está pasando un mal rato, la verdad, porque su caballo, cada vez que oye ruidos y aplausos, pues sufre y está haciendo sufrir a su jinete. Así que yo creo que se merece un aplauso, pero no, que no sea muy fuerte para no asustar demasiado a Hans-Dieter Dreger, el alemán. Don Álvaro Arrieta, que se acerca, se ve que controla el mundo del caballo. Ahí está Álvaro Arrieta felicitando al alemán. Por fin se ha calmado el caballo. Quinto clasificado, Hans-Dieter Dreger, montando a Besmal de Cotín. Bueno, pues ya hemos entregado los premios, así que cerramos ya esta ceremonia con la vuelta de honor de los 5 mejores. Eso está bien, que se note. Jesús Garmendia, ganador del gran trofeo mutua madrileña en IFEMA Madrid Week con Callas, por delante de Gregory Botelé, por delante de Marlon Módulo Zanatelli, por delante de Angelica Obertson Zanatelli, por delante de Hans-Dieter Dreger. Venga, vamos, 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 que es la segunda vuelta de honor. ¡Vamos Madrid! ¡Ese aplauso para Jesús! Victoria española. Cerramos aquí otro capítulo más de IFEMA Madrid Week. Quedan muchos capítulos por vivir. El siguiente en un instante. Carreras de ponis, siempre emoción con los más pequeños. Y al acabar esa carrera de ponis tendremos otro espectáculo, Horsemen, y cerraremos con la prueba de las 6 barras.
Hola, que no tienes seguro para mi coche eléctrico. Adiós, yo me voy a la puta.
Vente a la W y además de las mejores coberturas, te bajamos el precio de tus seguros, sea cual sea.